Even though we can choose to be the people we want to be, there is no question that our childhoods shape us in some ways. Dr. John Gottman and other marriage and family counselors say that our reactions to different situations and the way we talk about ourselves are formed when we are young and learning how to make sense of our immediate surroundings. Milan and Kirkovich found out that everyone has a different style of love based on how they were raised. A person's love style is made up of the ways they tend to act toward their loving partners. We can learn how our love styles affect our relationships if we know how we love. Here are the 5 ways that Drs. Milan and Kirkovich define the types of love. 1. The people-pleasing type. The people-pleasing type often grows up in a home where the parents are overprotective, angry, and critical. As kids, pleasers do everything they can to be good and on their best behavior so they don't upset their parents. However, pleasers don't get comfort as children. Instead, they spend their time and energy making their angry parent feel better. Pleasers don't like it when people disagree with them, so when they do, they often give in or make up for it quickly. Most of the time, they have a hard time saying no, and because they want to escape conflict, they may not be honest and tell lies. As pleaser kids get older, they learn to read the feelings of the people around them so they can make sure everyone is happy. But pleasers can have a breakdown and run away from relationships if they feel stressed or like they're always letting someone down. Pleasers often spread themselves too thin by trying to be everything to everyone, which isn't possible. Instead of setting healthy limits for themselves, they focus more on what other people want and need. Pleasers can't have solid relationships if they try to do what other people want them to do instead of being honest about how they feel. 2. The victim. The victim usually grows up in a home with a lot of chaos. Victims learn to be obedient so they can stay safe and deal with their angry, violent parents. They do this by putting less focus on themselves so they can stay out of sight. Victim children learn very early on to hide and be quiet because it hurts them to be fully present. Children who are abused often make up a world in their heads to help them deal with the dangers they face every day. People who are bullied usually have low self-esteem and deal with anxiety and sadness. They might end up marrying controllers who act like their parents did. Victims learn to deal with their situation by being flexible and going with the flow. They are so used to chaos and stress that when things are quiet, it makes them feel nervous because they're waiting for the next big thing to happen. Victims need to learn to love themselves and stand up for themselves when they need to, instead of letting their partner walk all over them if they want to have good, stable relationships. 3. The controller. The controller usually grew up in a home where there wasn't much safety, so they learn to be tough and take care of themselves. They need to feel in charge all the time so that the weakness they felt as kids doesn't show up in their adult lives. People who love in this way think they are in charge when they can avoid feeling bad emotions like fear, shame, and helplessness. But controllers don't see anger as a sign of weakness, so they can use it as a tool to stay in charge. Controllers tend to be rigid, but they can also be random and hard to predict. They don't like leaving their comfort zones because it makes them feel weak and vulnerable. They like to figure out problems on their own and do things in a certain way. If not, they get mad. Controllers need to learn how to let go, trust others, and control their anger if they want to have safe, long-lasting relationships. 4. The vacillator. Most of the time, the vacillator grows up with a father who is hard to predict. As kids, they learn that their parents don't always put their needs first. Without constant love from their parents, children who change their minds develop a strong fear of being left alone. But when the parent finally wants to give them time and care, the vacillators are usually too angry and tired to accept it. As they get older, people who change their minds about love try to find the love they never had. When they are young, vacillators tend to have high hopes for new relationships, but when they are let down or upset, they become sad and unsure. They often feel like they aren't understood, and their relationships cause them a lot of mental conflict and emotional stress. They can be very sensitive and observant, so they can pick up on even the smallest changes in other people and know when they are pulling away. To build healthy, stable relationships, people who change their minds a lot need to learn how to pace themselves and get to know someone before making a commitment too soon and getting hurt by their own standards. 5. The avoider. Usually, avoiders grow up in a home where freedom and being able to do things on their own are praised. As kids, avoiders learn to take care of themselves from a very young age and put their feelings and needs on hold because they worry that their parents won't help them. People who avoid things tend to like their own space and depend more on logic and distance than on their feelings. They don't like it when people around them have big changes in mood. Avoiders need to learn how to open up and be honest about how they feel if they want to have good, long-lasting relationships. Which style of love do you fit into? Tell us what you think in the comments. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. See you in the next video.